You're standing alone on a rain-slicked cobblestone street at midnight, the kind of night that feels alive with unseen eyes watching from the shadows. Your heart pounds like a drum in your chest. You've built a life that looks perfect on the outside. Good job, nice house, friends who laugh at your jokes. But inside, something is screaming. A quiet, relentless voice that whispers, there has to be more. You've tried therapy, meditation apps, even those expensive retreats, yet the emptiness follows you like a shadow you can't outrun. Then, in the middle of that stormy night, a single street lamp flickers and reveals an old wooden door you've never noticed before. You push it open. Inside is a dimly lit study lined with ancient books, the air thick with the smell of aged paper and pipe smoke. Sitting behind a heavy oak desk is a man with kind but piercing eyes, white hair, and a gentle smile that somehow makes the storm outside feel miles away. "Welcome," he says, his voice warm and Swiss-accented. "I've been waiting for you. My name is Carl Gustav Jung, and tonight I'm going to tell you the only truth that ever truly sets a soul free." You sit down, spellbound. Jung leans forward, eyes sparkling with the fire of someone who has walked through hell and come back carrying lanterns. "To reach the higher vibration your soul is begging for," he continues, 5 things inside you must die. Not your body, not your mind, but 5 illusions that have been draining your life force for years. When they die, something magnificent is born. Are you ready to listen? Because once you hear this story, you can never unhear it. And the moment you truly understand it, your old life ends and the real one begins. You nod, unable to look away. Jung smiles, pours 2 glasses of deep red wine, and begins. The rain outside becomes the rhythm of his words, and what he reveals next changes everything. Elias was the name of the man in the story Jung told that night, a man so much like you and me that you'll swear Jung was reading your diary. Elias was 43, lived in a glass and steel apartment in a busy city, and woke up every morning already exhausted. He had the promotions, the likes on social media, the vacations that looked perfect in photos. But every night he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like a stranger in his own skin. One evening, after another soul-crushing meeting, where he smiled through gritted teeth and pretended to care about quarterly targets, Elias came home and collapsed on the couch. That's when the first dream hit. He found himself standing on a grand stage under blinding spotlights. Thousands of faces stared up at him, clapping politely. He was wearing an elegant suit, perfectly tailored, but when he looked down, he realized the suit was actually a mask, layer after layer of painted smiles, clever jokes, and carefully chosen opinions. The crowd chanted his name, but the voice wasn't his. It belonged to the version of himself he had built to be liked, to be successful, to be normal. Suddenly the mask began to tighten. It squeezed his chest, his throat, his very breath. Jung's voice echoed through the dream. "This is the persona, the first thing that must die." The persona is the face you show the world so people won't see the real you. It's the "I'm fine" when you're breaking, the "I love my job" when it's slowly killing your spirit, the version of you that laughs at jokes you don't find funny and agrees with opinions you secretly despise. Jung discovered it during his own darkest nights. He realized most of us spend our entire lives polishing this mask because we're terrified without it no one will love us. But here's what the mask actually does. It blocks your natural energy. Every time you adjust your posture to look confident, every time you swallow your real opinion, every time you perform instead of simply be, you leak power, your vibration drops, you feel heavy, drained, disconnected. In the dream, Elias clawed at the mask. It wouldn't budge. The crowd's applause grew louder, more demanding. He was suffocating. Then a single thought pierced the panic. What if I just stopped performing? With a scream that came from his bones, Elias ripped the mask off. The crowd gasped. Underneath was his real face, tired, imperfect, but alive. The spotlights dimmed, the stage dissolved, and for the first time in decades, Elias felt air in his lungs that actually belonged to him. Jung paused in the study and looked straight at you, the real you listening right now. The death of the persona is terrifying because it feels like social suicide, but it's actually the first rebirth. When you stop performing, people who only loved the mask will leave. Good. The ones who stay will meet the real you, and that connection will vibrate at a frequency you've never known. How do you begin? Tonight, before you sleep, speak one truth out loud that you've been hiding. Tell your partner you're scared. Tell your boss the meeting was pointless. Tell the mirror you're exhausted and you don't have it all together. Feel the fear. Then feel the strange lightness that follows. That lightness is your vibration rising. Elias woke up from that dream sweating, but something had already shifted. The next morning, he didn't paste on the usual cheerful face at the office. He told his team the project was behind, and he didn't know how to fix it. Instead of judgment, he got respect. Colleagues opened up too. The air in the room felt different, lighter, electric. He didn't know it yet, but the first death had begun. Jung refilled the wine glasses. His eyes twinkled with mischief. But the persona was only the beginning. The second death is far more intimate and far more painful. The second dream came 3 nights later. Elias stood in the center of a golden throne room. He wore a crown and held a scepter. Every decision in the kingdom was his. He felt powerful until the walls began to crack. The throne started sinking into quicksand. His loyal subjects turned into mirrors, reflecting back his own terrified haste. Jung's voice again. This is the ego, the second thing that must die. The ego isn't your sense of self. It's the illusion that you are the center of the universe and that you can control everything. It's the voice that says, if I just work harder, plan better, manipulate outcomes, I'll finally be safe. Jung spent years watching patients destroy themselves, chasing this illusion. He called it the ego's inflation, the belief that consciousness is the boss instead of a humble servant. In the dream, Elias tried to command the throne to stop. He shouted orders. He bargained with the mirrors. Nothing worked. The more he fought for control, the deeper he sank. Panic turned to despair. Then, in the final moment before he was swallowed completely, he whispered the words that changed everything. I surrender. The throne vanished. The mirrors shattered into butterflies. Elias fell and landed gently on soft grass under an endless sky. For the first time, he felt small in the most beautiful way, like a single wave finally realizing it belongs to the ocean. Jung leaned closer across the desk. The death of the ego feels like dying, because it is. The old you who needed to be right, to be in charge, to win every argument, that version must be buried. When it dies, something miraculous happens. Life starts happening through you instead of against you. Synchronicities appear, opportunities flow. You stop forcing doors and start walking through the ones that open themselves. Your vibration stops fighting gravity and begins to rise naturally.
Elias woke up laughing, the first real laugh in years. That same week, his biggest client contract fell through. Old Elias would have panicked, called lawyers, lost sleep. New Elias shrugged, went for a walk, and within 48 hours received a message from a dream client who said, "I don't know why, but I felt I had to reach out to you today." The money was better, the work felt meaningful, the universe had taken the wheel. You can feel it already, can't you? That quiet tug in your chest right now as these words land. That's the ego getting nervous. Good, let it squirm. Jung's voice grew softer, almost reverent. We've only just begun. The third death is the one most people run from their entire lives. The third dream was darker. Elias stood at the entrance of a cave that smelled of damp earth and forgotten things. Inside, something moved, something huge, breathing heavily. He didn't want to go in. Every instinct screamed to run, but a gentle push from behind, Jung's hand, sent him forward. Torches lit the walls, and there, chained to the stone, was a creature that looked exactly like Elias. Same face, same scars, but twisted with rage, shame, and every ugly impulse he had ever denied. It snarled, "You left me here. You pretended I didn't exist. Now you pay." Jung's voice echoed through the cave. "This is the shadow, the third thing that must die." The shadow isn't evil, it's the parts of you that you exiled because they weren't nice, successful, or spiritual. The anger you swallowed, the jealousy you pretended not to feel, the wild, sexual, selfish, lazy, frightened pieces that didn't fit your nice person story. Jung discovered that the brighter the persona shines, the darker the shadow grows, and the more you deny it, the more it sabotages your life through self-sabotage, explosive outbursts, depression that comes out of nowhere. In the dream, Elias tried to fight the creature. Fists flew, blood spilled, but every punch he threw landed on his own body. He was beating himself. Exhausted, he finally stopped fighting and did the only thing left. He opened his arms and embraced the monster. The creature howled, then melted into light. The chains dissolved. Elias absorbed every dark piece, and when he walked out of the cave, the sun felt warmer than it ever had. His steps were heavier, but his heart was lighter, whole. "The death of the shadow isn't pretty," Jung said quietly in the study. "It requires you to look at the parts of yourself you hate most and say, 'You belong to me.' When you do, you stop projecting your darkness onto others. You stop blaming your partner, your boss, the government, your parents. That reclaimed energy becomes rocket fuel for your higher vibration. You become dangerous in the best possible way, creative, magnetic, unstoppable." Elias started keeping a shadow journal. Every night he wrote the ugliest thoughts without censorship. The jealousy toward his friend's success, the resentment toward his parents, the secret desire to quit everything and disappear. At first it felt disgusting, then it felt freeing. Within weeks, people started saying he had presence. He walked into rooms and the energy changed. His vibration was rising so fast he could almost hear it humming. Jung stood up now, pacing slowly around the study, the lamplight casting long shadows that danced like living archetypes. 2 deaths down, 3 to go. The fourth is the one that destroys most relationships and saves the ones worth keeping. The fourth dream placed Elias in a beautiful garden. Across from him stood a woman who looked like every woman he had ever been obsessed with or destroyed by. She was perfect until she opened her mouth and every complaint he had ever heard from an ex poured out. She was his longing and his nightmare at the same time. He reached for her, desperate to possess her. She turned into smoke. He chased her through the garden, thorns tearing his clothes, until he collapsed in exhaustion. Jung's voice, "This is the Anima, the fourth thing that must die." For women listening, Jung would have called it the Animus, the inner masculine. The principle is the same. The Anima is your inner opposite, the feminine soul in every man, the masculine soul in every woman. When you don't know her, you project her onto real people and expect them to complete you. That's why you fall madly in love and then wake up one day wondering who this stranger is. That's why you chase unavailable partners or stay in toxic cycles. In the dream, Elias finally stopped chasing. He sat down in the dirt and spoke to the disappearing woman. "I see you. You are me. I don't need you outside anymore." The garden transformed. The woman reappeared, not as a lover to possess, but as a companion inside his own chest. She smiled, placed a hand over his heart, and merged with him. Elias stood up taller, more balanced, more whole than he had ever been. Jung stopped pacing. When the projected anima dies, your relationships stop being rescue missions and become meetings of two complete people. Your creativity explodes because the inner feminine and masculine are finally dancing instead of fighting. Your vibration becomes magnetic instead of needy. People feel safe around you because you no longer need anything from them. Elias's love life changed overnight. He stopped swiping, stopped chasing, and started listening to the quiet voice inside. The woman who appeared next wasn't dramatic or perfect. She was real. And for the first time, he loved her without trying to fix or possess her. Their connection vibrated at a depth he didn't know was possible. The study felt smaller now, the air thicker with anticipation. Jung sat back down, eyes serious. We have reached the final death. This one is the quietest and the most profound. The fifth dream had no setting at all. Elias floated in pure darkness. No up, no down, no past, no future, just the vast, terrifying emptiness of his own soul. In the center floated a brilliant light, shaped like himself, but bigger, ancient, radiating love and terror at the same time. The light spoke with a voice that was his and not his. You have killed the mask. You have surrendered control. You have embraced the dark. You have taken back the opposite. Now, you must let the old story of who you think you are die completely. I am the self. I have always been here. You are not the hero of this tale. You are the vessel. Elias felt every identity he had ever clung to: successful man, wounded son, good person, spiritual seeker, peel away like old skin. It hurt more than any physical pain, but when the last layer fell, the light rushed into him, and he became the light. No separation, just pure, humming presence. Jung's final words in the study were almost a whisper. The death of the old story, the last illusion that you are a separate, limited ego struggling through life, is the doorway to the highest vibration. Jung called it individuation. Modern language calls it awakening. I call it coming home. When this final death happens, you don't achieve higher vibration. You remember you were never separate from it. Elias woke up from the fifth dream at 3:33 a.m. He didn't reach for his phone. He didn't analyze. He simply sat in the dark and cried tears of pure recognition. The next morning, the world looked the same, but he was different. Colors were brighter. Music moved through his body. Strangers smiled at him on the street. Opportunities arrived without effort. His presence alone seemed to heal people around him. He had died 5 times, and in those deaths, he had finally begun to live. Jung finished his wine and stood. The storm outside had stopped. Moonlight poured through the windows. "Now it's your turn," he said, looking directly into your eyes. "The 5 deaths are not a one-time event. They are a daily practice. Every morning you ask, which mask am I still wearing? Where am I still trying to control? What darkness am I still denying? Where am I still projecting my wholeness onto another? What old story am I still telling about myself?" He placed a hand on your shoulder. The higher vibration isn't somewhere else. It's the natural state that remains when everything false has died. Go now. Live the story. And remember, every time something inside you dies, something infinitely greater is born. The study door opened. You stepped back onto the cobblestone street. The rain had turned to mist. The city lights looked like stars. For the first time in your life, you weren't walking home. You were walking into yourself. And the vibration? It was already rising. You can feel it right now, can't you? That gentle hum in your chest, that quiet excitement mixed with fear. That's the old you beginning to die, and the real you beginning to live. Don't click away. Don't distract yourself. Sit with this feeling. Let it burn. Let it transform you. Because the 5 things that must die are already loosening their grip, and the life on the other side of their death is more beautiful than anything you have ever imagined. Welcome to your higher vibration. It's been waiting for you all along.